Help support our coverage with a free account on Privacy, the service that keeps your bank information private when shopping online. Get $5 right now to try the service at plughitzlive.com/privacy. Hello, Internet. I'm Scott with PLUGHITZ Live, part of the Tech Podcast Network. We are here at CES 2019 at the Plott booth, which appears to be a house under construction. We'll find out what that's about in just a second, but first, go ahead and introduce yourself for me.
No problem. I'm Matt. I work at Plott, and what we do here at Plott is we make DIY and home improvement easier for the consumers.
Okay, that's obviously a great goal. Sometimes those home improvement projects can be a real pain.
A little bit tricky. So what we've learned at Plott from doing our surveys is that actually 80% of users who have done a home improvement project often don't do another one because measurements become way too complicated. And then the second most common reason is that they have a design in their mind and it never comes out the way they want it to look. So we want to streamline that process and make it easy for them to actually build a project from design to reality.
Sure, that makes sense. And you know, when you build something and it doesn't quite look like what you were thinking in your head, it's disappointing. It's demotivating.
It's a little disappointing. It's a little frustrating, and that's often why people don't want to do projects themselves, and they'll end up hiring someone. But that since DIY is such a big trend now, we really wanted to focus on making that as easy as possible for them.
So how do we do that? We've got a little device here. It looks like a tape measure. How does that factor in?
So what we do at Plott is we take real-world measurements and we pair it up with mixed reality images. So you can then design in an app and see how something will look in AR before you actually build it. Now, what separates us from everyone else and how we're so special and why we won this year's award is we take it back out into reality. And how we do that is we connect with our object here, and I select the hanging point on here. I then hit change reality, and an arrow pops up on the screen, which will guide me to the direct point where I need to hang that nail.
So all of that measuring to make sure that you're on the right millimeter on the wall, because different pictures hang differently and stuff like that, all of that is taken care of here?
All of it's taken care of. So in the past, with using tape measures, you'd have to measure the height, the width, the length of your wall, and soon a simple project of hanging 3 photos becomes something more like 12 to 20 measurements, and then you have to measure twice to make sure it's right. For this, you measure once and then you go right to hanging the project.
Okay. Now, how do you take into consideration the fact that different picture frames have different backings?
I'm glad you asked that. So with picture frames, you generally have to have a specific hanging point, whether it's a wire or they have a little notch in the back. So on the back of the image, you can see here, you can actually take a picture of that in the app and select that specific point so you know exactly where that coordinate is on the wall.
Gotcha. So when you're finding the point on the wall, the thing that you're finding is the hanging point, not like the top of the picture that way.
Exactly. You actually have the freedom to select what you want. So you can have it where you selected the corners if you're using something maybe like command strips. Okay. If you're using a nail, you'd want to select that hanging point, or if you're doing a TV, you'd want to select exactly where you want those brackets to be. Sure. That way you don't have to worry about any of the measurements afterwards of using a tape measure and doing that.
Got it. That's great. Like we built our studio and there's a lot of hanging pieces, and there's one that's a little off from the rest, and it's driven me crazy for years. But I'm not going to go back and try and fix it because the difference is enough that the screw's in a bad place, and you couldn't fix it without damaging the wall. So exactly. This would have prevented that problem in the first place.
Yeah, so we want to prevent that completely. So when we have the measurements that accurate, you're not putting any misplaced holes in your wall. That way, when you finally take that picture frame down, you're not seeing 3 or 4 holes behind it. You have the one nail in there, and it's an easy spackle job.
Another important part of it, fixing it when you leave. So how accurate is this?
So our products are accurate within 3 millimeters. So that's over 65 feet. So it's perfect for indoor use, and it will make sure that the project is super accurate as you're doing it.
So in this case, you won't be disappointed by something hanging a little lower than everybody else.
No, you won't be.
So, what is the availability on this? Is this on the market now? Is it coming soon?
So this is coming soon. It's going to be available in March.
Very soon.
Yeah, so we're going to be available in a lot of the big box retailers dealing with hardware and tech.
Okay. Very cool. And do we have an idea on what the price point might be, or also coming soon?
Absolutely. No, Cubit's going to be available for $99 MSRP, and you'll be able to find it at any store.
Very cool. If people want more information about the product, how can they get it?
Sure, you can follow us at Let's Plott on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter, or you can go to www.letsplott.com.
Fantastic. Well, I really appreciate you taking the time to show this off today.
No problem. It was a pleasure being here.
For continuing CES 2019 coverage, stay tuned to plughitzlive.com/CES.